Hey, welcome to part 3 of an introduction to Google Sites. I'm going to show you now how to insert objects and gadgets on the page. So we're going to go to the Home tab if you are creating along with me. And in the Home tab right now, it's a pretty boring, plain looking page. We are going to edit the page. That's the pencil, as you will recall. And once we get in here, just to make this a little bit nicer, we're going to change the layout so that we have some more columns and so forth. So I'm going to choose... let's see, we'll do a 3-column, not the simple, I'm going to choose the more complicated, which one? It gives a box at the top, then 3 boxes in the middle, and then another box down here, so that I have all kinds of places to put stuff. So there's my basic layout, and now I'm going to start off by putting in an image. So I'm going to click in the middle one, and to insert an image, it's under the common listed here. Now your common things are going to be images and links, and then basically a horizontal line. Those are kind of the most common of the common inserted elements. Most people don't really use table contents on a Google site. And subpage listing, I mean, you could, but that's probably not all that common either. And then I guess you could add a +1 button if you wish. Now these are for images that are not hosted on your Google Drive. So when you click here, it's going to prompt you to upload an image, and you'll go out and pick it. So here's my school teacher image, and I've already uploaded it, so I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And then, of course, I'm going to size this down some. If I wanted to put words next to this, I would need to modify the text wrapping, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I've got it small, I've got the text wrapping modified, and I'm going to go ahead and type in some stuff here. I think I'm going to go ahead and make this bigger. So I'm going to format this as like a heading 3, and that'll make it a little bit bigger and bold. Welcome to my portfolio. Hope you enjoy checking out my work from this year at Jackson High School. Okay, and so you can put whatever you want in the box, and there you go. When you hit save, of course, it's going to pop it in there, and then you've got your page. And notice that since my box is empty at the bottom, there's nothing showing there. All right, now go back to edit page, and then we're going to actually use the insert to do some additional things. So I'll go through a hyperlink here too as well. So if I wanted to make the words Jackson High School go to the Jackson High School website, you just highlight the words and insert link. And then if you're adding it to one of your pages, you would choose Sites page and click the one. But I'm just going to do a web address, and then you put in the whole address here. So www.jackson2schools.com. And if you want that to open in a new window, which usually you do if it's leaving your site, you'll check the box and hit OK. And then there we go. I've got my hyperlink. So those are kind of the 2 big things there with that. All right, let's go ahead and look at the gadgets in the middle. So these are various gadgets. Kind of the most common and built-in gadgets are right here. Recent posts is a really good one. Now we're going to click over in the right-hand column here, and I'm going to insert a recent post gadget. What a recent post gadget is, it's any of those pages that are set up using the template for an announcements page. Those are the pages that work like a blog. And I have one, class posts. You can insert kind of like a mini feed where you can see it over here. I'm going to choose to have medium snippet of my post, a thumbnail if there's an image in my post, and I'll say 3 maximum for mine. You can also choose whether to have a border around it and whether to include the title. I'm going to, but instead of recent announcements, I'm going to put recent posts there. Now when I hit save here, you're not going to see a whole lot, because anytime you insert any of these Google gadgets, you're going to get a placeholder box. And if you need to make any changes to that box, again, you'll click the gear to do so. When you hit save, though, it should then show you what actually goes there. And in this case, I have no posts. We will add some later. I have no posts, though, right now, so it's an empty box, which isn't super beautiful, but that's what it is. So I've got that now on this side. And then we'll go over here on the other side, and we'll insert another gadget. Now, there are a lot of gadgets that are in here, and they don't all work. To be honest, I have a hard time finding many that work, but your students can spend all day in here poking around. So when you click Add a Gadget to your site, and you click on Public, then there's a whole bunch of different gadgets that you can add. For instance, like here's one that says Live Weather. I don't know if this one works here, but we'll just see. When you hit Select, it gives you some options that you can change. I'm just going to hit OK just so we can see if it works. There's the gadget. And then when you hit Save, if it works, it'll go. And of course, this looks like this one's being blocked by our firewall because there's funny little images. But that's what happens. It puts the gadget in a box. Depending on the gadget, you may not want to see that green box in this case. So again, this is where you would click on the gear and say, like, I don't want a border and I don't want a title, and OK. And then it would remove those elements from your gadget. Now, again, if you're somewhere where it's blocking something, weird things could happen. In this case, of course, I would want to remove this one because it doesn't work. But there are a lot of gadgets in there, and I'm sure that some of them probably do work, but I just don't usually have a whole lot of luck. There are some older gadgets under public, like games, fish that float around, hangman, but most of these seem to have quit working about a month ago. So I don't know if there was some sort of update or what, but there were virtual pets and all kinds of fun things. But those are in there in case you want to poke around and try to find them. What most people use, though, is embedding things from other websites. So if you create something on a website, for instance, my students post videos to SchoolTube. Instead of YouTube, they post to SchoolTube because I can moderate it from there. And we can insert an embed code from SchoolTube. So when you scroll down, there's an embed code over here. It's an iframe. And I'm just going to select that and copy it. And to put that into your page, you can't just paste it in here because it would paste the code in here. You have to switch to the HTML source edit. And so when I click this, now make sure you're in the exact right spot here because this can get confusing if you're not familiar with HTML at all. So when I click here, I'm going to see some stuff, and I'm over here on this side, so I'm just going to paste in the exact spot that I'm at, that code. Now I'm going to tell you something that I've learned, and that is that Google Sites doesn't tend to like, for some reason, a lot of HTTP websites. And the reason is Google tends to block what it calls not secure content. Now I'm deleting some space bars here. So let's go ahead and hit save here and see what happens. So notice you see nothing. And I did this one deliberately just because I've had this problem about 1 million times. So what I'm going to do is go back to edit that source over there. And I know it looks kind of crazy because you can see all these different things in here, but what I'm trying to find is that SchoolTube link, and there it is, HTTP and that SchoolTube link. I'm going to add an S after the P, which makes it secure, if you will, and it seems to be a little happier if you do things that way. Now, I don't know that this is going to work because there's so many things in this box that I'm actually going to hit cancel and see if I can get to the gadget box, and here we go. That's the easier place to do that once you've pasted that HTML in. And this considers it a Google gadget, so now I can just pop up in here and put that S. That's much easier than doing it the other way. Again, you can choose whether or not you're going to have title, scroll bar, borders, all that stuff. I've chosen to have none of that. I'm going to hit OK, and then let's hit save and see if my video pops up over there. And there we go. It's in there. However, you can see we are having some problems because the size of this isn't fitting well on this page. So this might be a situation where I might want to edit and move that gadget somewhere else. In this case, I'm going to move it down to this box that I have at the bottom, and I'm going to center it in that box. And now I don't have to worry about that being a problem here on this first page. All right, and there are some additional gadgets too. Like I could put follow me on Twitter. There is a Twitter one that works pretty well in here. So I could go to insert and gadgets. Again, I'm going to go to more gadgets and go to public and then type in Twitter. If you don't switch it to public and it's not on the featured listing, you won't see it. Let's see which one we want here. Actually, it might be under featured. Here we go. Here's a follow button. And I'm going to hit select, and then it's going to say, hey, what's your Twitter name, so it can follow you. Now, this is one that's going to look really bad if you leave a border and a title. I'm going to leave it on there and then edit it, but watch this. So if I hit save here on this, that's what that looks like. That's pretty terrible. So we want to get rid of that box. Again, back in the edit mode, click on the gear, and then let's just uncheck these boxes so that all we have is the little Twitter box. I'm actually going to hit delete and see if I can get this to go up next to the words. It probably won't. They are kind of picky if you're, there you go. So there's my follow. It tells you how many followers I have, and I can click on it, and people would be able to access a follow box and choose to follow me if they wish to. Okay, so this page has gotten a little out of hand. It's a little bit crazy. probably we wouldn't want to include all of these things on this page, but for the sake of us, I wanted you to at least be able to see some of the options. I'm going to go ahead now and delete this video because we don't really need it, and attempt to change my layout. And here's where you have to be really careful when you switch layouts. Sometimes your stuff gets moved around. So for instance, I got it switched over, but now everything's sort of mushed together. So again, I'm going to grab my picture and grab it over here. I'm going to grab this text and drag it over here as well. And then maybe fix this just a little bit, change my wrapping again, and so forth. All right, I'm going to go ahead and center this box. All right, let's take a look. There we go. That's a little better, a little more streamlined than what we had before. Yeah, so that is kind of the ways to insert objects and gadgets onto your Google site. We're going to spend some time in the next lesson going through embedding Google content, so things that are on your Google Drive or that belong to Google and how to put them in. Anything that you upload the way that I just showed you, so if we're going up here to insert and we're inserting images, you'll notice that inserting images that way does count against the amount of space that you're allowed, that 100 megabytes or whatever that you're allowed on your Google site. In addition, if you have pages that allow you to post attachments, like this page here says add files, any files that you happen to add also would count against your overall amount that you're allowed to store there. So say I wanted to add some files that people could download and look at, that would count against my amount there. So just be aware that you want to be very careful. Most people are going to put things on their Google Drive and insert them the way that we're going to do in the next lesson.